So, in today's lecture, we are going to discuss about our next topic, that is hyaline degeneration. All of you know about this causes of degeneration, then the types of degeneration, that is cloudy swelling, hydropic degeneration, fatty degeneration, then amyloid degeneration, lipoidal degeneration, mucoidal degeneration, then hyaline degeneration, fatty infiltration, and glycogen infiltration. These are all topics we are going to discuss in this part of degeneration. We discussed the topic in next last week, that is cloudy swelling and hydropic degeneration. Now today we are going to discuss about the next topic, that is hyaline degeneration. Okay. So hyaline degeneration is a retrogressive change in the cells in which the cytoplasm become homogeneous, hazy. Then hyalinization is a kind of coagulation of protein of the cell, indicating severe cell damage, which indicates the damage which happens to the cell or cellular elements. It is in the severe form. It is called as hyalinization, and always it happens as a disease process. Okay, either there is pneumonia or some disease of kidney like nephrotic syndrome or nephritis. That is, mainly it happens in the inflammatory pathology. It happens during or after inflammatory pathology. Now there are types of hyaline degeneration: cellular or epithelial hyalinization and connective tissue hyalinization. The cellular or epithelial hyalinization, the examples they are given, that is during pneumonia, that is lobar pneumonia, it affects the kidney tubules, or during nephritis, it again affects the kidney tubules, or it is seen in the prostatic inflammatory condition. Yeah, that in that we can see this particular hyalinization in the uh, at the cellular level or at the connective tissue level. Okay, so this first is cellular or epithelial hyalinization. This we can see as a droplet. There is formation of hyaline droplets, which are either the products of degeneration produced within the cellular protoplasm, or due to deposition of the proteins which has passed through the injured or abnormally permeable glomeruli. So whenever there is inflammation occurs, the permeability of cell or the glomeruli increases, in which the protein part of the cell or in the filtrate which can pass through the glomerular capillary bed, the protein enters into the filtrate and they reabsorbed into the cell of the tubules. So this proteins, they appear as a they appear as a coagulation. That is, the cytoplasm, it become homogeneous. Okay, so the coagulation of protein occurs which get absorbed inside the cell during the process of inflammation. These proteins, they get coagulated and there is formation of haziness, or the cytoplasm, either it become homogeneous. We call it as, rather haziness, we can call it as a homogeneous appearance of the cytoplasm. And why homogeneous? The cytoplasm, it become homogeneous because of coagulation of the protein which get absorbed, reabsorbed inside the cells, abnormally inside the tubular cells. Okay, so this so it happens as a process of inflammation. Okay, now the next, that is the hyaline droplet degeneration. So more information about this hyaline droplet degeneration. It is defined as accumulation of excess normal protein droplets inside the cell. Okay, which is in the eosinophilic stain, or we call it as uh, hydroxyls or eosinophilic stain. The cells appears homogeneous and glassy eosinophilic. Now, the normal homogeneous or glassy eosinophilic proteins, they are also called as hyaline. These hyaline droplets can be seen in the following cells and the following pathological conditions. Okay, they appears in the intestinal epithelial cells of neonates whenever there is excessive absorption of colostrum, that is immunoglobulin occurs. Okay, after excessive absorption of the colostrum. Now they are the full this colostrum, that is the first part of the milk, which are full of this immunoglobulins, mainly IgG type of immunoglobulin, IgM type of immunoglobulin. Okay, this epithelial cells, the second is the epithelial cells in the renal tubules following absorption of protein leaking from damaged glomeruli. So whenever there is glomerular pathology occurs like glomerulonephritis, all seniors can recollect this pathology, that is glomerulonephritis. We discussed this glomerulonephritis in which this antigen antibody complexes. What are the antigens? Yes, student.
They are present on the surface of RBC.
Which type of antigen which combines with the immunoglobulins in case of glomerulonephritis? Yes, what is the name of that antigen? Bacterial antigen? Yes, the students from winter batch, because these topics they are covered to you. Glomerulonephritis. Who is the antigen? Who is the causative organism for this uh, particular inflammatory conditions? Yes, it is Streptococcus. This glomerulonephritis is it get commonly followed after streptococcal infection. So these streptococcal proteins they act as a antigen and which get combines with antibodies and they get lodged in the glomerular capillary membrane. So there is inflammation starts at glomerulocapillary membrane. The pore size increases. There is loss of proteins. These proteins they come in the filtrate and this get reabsorbed by the tubular cells, and this abnormally these proteins which get passed in the filtrate by this something disease process. So this abnormal accumulation of this protein inside the cell causes the homogeneous appearance of the cytoplasm in that particular cells. Okay, now we will discuss about the second part, that is connective tissue hyalinization. It is connective tissue hyalinization. The hyalinization of connective tissue, it is one minute. I will send uh, these things to the winter batch. Okay. Okay. So this connective tissue hyalinization, the hyalinization of connective tissue is caused by agglomeration and swelling of collagen as seen in the scar tissue. Whenever the scar tissue occurs, there is formation of a scab on the scar tissue. Okay, so in the scar tissue there is this hyalinization of connective tissue. It is caused by the agglomeration and swelling of the collagen. Okay, with thick pleura we call it as a scab on the on any injury. there is formation of a scape. So that is nothing but the connective tissue hyalinization. It is always associated with thickened pleura and thickened capsule. Okay, the hyalinization is encountered as a senile change in uterus, especially around the arteries or in the lymph nodes in the chronic inflammatory change. Okay, so connective tissue hyalinization, it is always it is a part of agglomeration and swelling of collagen. Again, this haziness appears, or this we call it as a homogeneousness of the cell protoplasm. It occurs due to agglomeration and swelling of collagen. Okay, and secondly, it is a it this hyalinization, it also appears as a senile changes, senile degenerative changes, especially which is seen in the uterus, around the arteries, or in the lymph nodes in chronic inflammatory changes. Okay, so in that conditions we can see this hyalinization. We call it as connective tissue hyalinization. We call it as connective tissue hyalinization. Now, the part of this connective tissue hyalinization, that is, we call it as a Zenker's hyaline degeneration or Zenker's necrosis. This condition, it is named after Friedrich Albert Zenker. Okay, so this particular Friedrich Zenker, he introduced this type of degeneration first. So on his name, it is given, that is Zenker's degeneration. It is a form of severe hyaline degeneration in the skeletal muscle caused by toxins in the severe infections like typhoid fever. Okay, or it also appears in some chronic, any other chronic conditions. Okay, uh, so it always appears in uh, the tissues of diaphragm, the tissues of diaphragm and the rectus abdominis. Okay, grossly the muscle appears pale and friable. The muscle become pale and friable due to coagulation of the sarcoplasm proteins. Either this, all of you know what are the sarcoplasm proteins, protoplasms? Yes, all of you know, I think, this terminologies. Microscopically, the muscles are swollen with loss of cross striations and shows a hyaline appearance. So the muscle loses its striations in this degenerative process, that is during hyalinization. The muscle appears pale and friable. It is due to coagulation of the sarcoplasm proteins. Okay, this grossly the muscle appears pale. So after this is always it appears or it become apparent after the enteric fever or typhoid fever on the action of the muscles. So in that, the muscle, they loses their striations, they become flexed, and they loses their strength, they become friable. Microscopically, the muscles, they become swollen with loss of cross striations and shows hyaline appearance. Okay. Now, the Zenker's degeneration in fact a necrotic change based on it. It is Zenker's degeneration is in fact a necrotic change which is based on loss of cross striations, condensation of nuclei, and loss of nuclei. So these three things, they are characteristics with this Zenker's degeneration. Okay, the one is the muscle loses their striation, the nuclei, it become coagulate, that is condensation of nuclei, it become pycnotic nuclei, pycnosis, we call it as pycnosis. The nuclei, it become condensed, very much small, pinpoint, and sometimes it loses from the site. So the nuclei is loses from the site. So these are the three characteristic conditions which occurs in the Zenker's degeneration. So Zenker's degeneration, it is a severe type of hyaline degeneration which occurs in the skeletal muscles by the toxins. Okay, so they happens because of this toxins released by that particular organism or pathogen, which is Salmonella typhi or paratyphi. Salmonella typhi, then it is the name of that particular organism or pathogen which releases the toxins during the disease process, causes this severe type of hyaline degeneration as the inflammatory process. Okay, so this Zenker's degeneration, it become visualized. So this Zenker's degeneration common seen in the striated muscles, that is rectus abdominis, diaphragmatic muscles due to the action of toxins or excess accumulation of the lactic acid in typhoid fever, then in the pneumonia, diphtheria and Wells disease. So this type of degeneration we can see after this particular pathological conditions. It is not just only the typhoid, but it also appears in the pneumonia, diphtheria and Wells disease. Grossly, the muscle become thin, it become translucent, microscopically loses normal striations, nuclei absent, and the muscle cell takes coarse, clumped, or homogeneously solid and dense appearance. Okay, so these are the characteristic of Zenker's hyaline degeneration. It can be asked as a short note for you. Okay, Zenker's hyaline or Zenker's degeneration, which again discussed in the topic of necrosis. Okay, so this type of degeneration we call it as uh, hyaline degeneration, hyaline due to severe hyalinization. Now the other types, that is intracellular. What is intracellular hyaline and extracellular hyaline? Okay, so intracellular hyaline, it is mainly seen in the epithelial cells. Okay, it is mainly seen in the epithelial cells. This part we discussed priorly. So we discussed this part in the cellular or epithelial hyaline. So it is always appears as an intracellular hyaline, not extracellular. So it appears in the hyaline droplet form in the proximal tubular epithelial cells due to excessive reabsorption of the plasma proteins. So these proteins, they get reabsorbed in the conditions like nephritis, glomerulonephritis, in that the proteins they loses and they appears in the filtrate and reabsorbed from the proximal tubular epithelial cells. This hyaline degeneration of rectus abdominis muscle called as Zenker's degeneration occurring in the typhoid fever. Then Mallory's hyaline, it represents aggregates of intermediate filaments in the hepatocytes in the alcoholic liver cell injury. We call it as Mallory hyaline. Okay, this Mallory type of hyaline, it always appears in the alcoholic liver conditions, fatty liver or alcoholic liver, cirrhotic liver. In that particular conditions, when there is injury to the hepatocytes due to this absorption of ethyl aldehyde, and this will get reabsorbed, there is production of toxins and there is formation of Mallory's hyaline. The nuclear or cytoplasmic hyaline inclusions seen in some viral infections. So we can see the cytoplasmic hyaline inclusions after some viral infections, okay? Viral pneumonia like this. Or after measles, we can see this particular cytoplasmic hyaline. Then Russell's bodies, they representing excessive immunoglobulins in the rough endoplasmic reticulum of plasma cells. We call them as Russell's bodies. They represents the excessive immunoglobulins which appears in the rough endoplasmic reticulum of plasma cells. So these are all types of the intracellular hyaline. That is, it appears in the form of hyaline droplets, or it appears as a Zenker's degeneration, or it appears as a Mallory's hyaline in case of liver injuries, or after a viral infection there is cytoplasmic hyaline or nuclear hyaline, or cells bodies. They are present on the excessive type of immunoglobulin. They appears whenever there is some sort of very uh, virulous, in the virulous infections, bacterial or viral infections, in which there is more and more number of immunoglobulin, excessive production of immunoglobulin occurs. If that virus or bacteria is unknown to your system, like we are going through now this particular pandemic. Okay, so in this particular pandemic also we can see these results bodies, that is excessive immunoglobulin production. Okay, it appears after excessive immunoglobulin production. Now, extracellular hyaline. This extracellular hyaline is seen in the connective tissues. Few examples of extracellular hyaline, they are the hyaline degeneration in leiomyomas of the uterus. It is a malignant condition. Leiomyomas is the malignant condition of the uterus. Or hyalinized old scar of fibrocollagenous tissues. Then hyaline arteriosclerosis in the renal vessels. So it always, arteriosclerosis always appears in a senile condition or in the chronic conditions, like renal vessels in the chronic hypertension, systemic hypertension, or in the diabetes mellitus. Then hyalinized glomeruli in the chronic glomerulonephritis. Whenever the glomerulonephritis it become chronic, then in that condition there is hyalinized glomeruli appears. That is, glomeruli shows haziness with loss of their any particular ingredients. Okay, so this glomeruli, it become homogeneous totally with loss of all the details. Then corpora amylacea, they are rather rounded masses of concentric hyaline laminae seen in the prostate. As we discussed earlier, we can see this particular epithelial hyalines in the, or connective tissue, sorry, in the connective tissue hyalinization. This appears in the prostate in elderly persons, and in the brain and spinal cord in old age. Then this corpora amylacea, it is always it appears as a degenerative process of connective tissue, or this degenerative process, it is always age characteristic with the age. As the age increases, the senile degeneration it proceeds, and there is formation of this hazy round masses in the connective tissues, like in the prostate, spinal cord, brain. And sometimes it appears in the old infarcts of the lung. Okay, so these are the extracellular hyalines. This is all about of extracellular hyaline. So two part we discussed, intracellular hyaline and extracellular hyaline. Okay, so this is all about of hyaline degeneration we discussed up till now. The hyaline degeneration, it is a retrogressive change in the cell in which the cytoplasm become very much homogeneous. It become hazy, it become homogeneous. So with that homogeneousness, it shows various effects on the skeletal muscles or on the connective tissues. It appears within the cells in different type of pathological conditions, like in pneumonia, then prostatic enlargement or prostatitis. There is cellular or epithelial myelinization occurs, and in the condition senile changes or senile degenerative changes, this hyalinization occurs connective tissue hyalinization. Please mute yourself. Please mute yourself. Somebody leave the speaker on. So please mute yourself. It is disturbing me. So this hyalinization we discussed with cellular epithelial hyalinization and connective tissue hyalinization. The cellular hyalinization, it appears as a droplets, that is either the part of degeneration or product of degeneration, or due to the deposition of proteins which pass through the disease process like glomerulonephritis. Okay, it appears as a hyaline droplets. These are known as hyaline droplets, which we discussed in the cellular or epithelial hyalinization. Then we discussed later on about connective tissue hyalinization. It is the agglomeration. It is nothing but the agglomeration and swelling of collagen, which is seen in some scar tissues like scar tissues or thickened pleura and the thickened capsule. Okay. So this hyalinization, it is always encountered as a extracellular deposition in the connective tissue. It is a part of senile changes, especially it appears around the arteries and in the lymph nodes, or as a part of chronic inflammatory process. Okay, then we discussed about Zenker's hyaline degeneration, which is mainly seen in the striated muscles like rectus abdominis, diaphragmatic muscles. It is due to the action of toxins or excessive accumulation of the lactic acid in the various disease conditions like typhoid, pneumonia, diphtheria, and Wells disease. Okay, so here what are the characteristic changes appears in the Zenker's degeneration? The muscle loses their striation, there is the nucleus become condensed, and the nucleus may disappears from our eyesight. So these are the characteristic changes which appears in the Zenker's hyaline degeneration. It is a severe type of hyalinization, Zenker's hyaline degeneration. Okay, so any query about this topic? Hyaline degeneration. Is there is any query? Yes, students?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So, I'm going to upgrade the meeting time within 5 to 7 minutes. Then we will extend one more 10 minutes. Okay. So, now the next part, that is fatty degeneration. It is the next part is fatty degeneration. It is degeneration or fatty metamorphosis or steatosis. It is abnormal appearance of the fat within the parenchymal cell. So fatty degeneration is abnormal accumulation of the fat within the parenchymal cell. So it is the result from some hepatotoxic agents such as this ethanol, chloroform, then this ethyl aldehyde or spirit, then after severe infections and prolonged anemia, then toxemia of pregnancy. Okay. Then fatty liver, it is due to inability of liver to synthesize the phospholipids. There is decreased lipoprotein release from the hepatocytes and there is increased triglyceride production. So these three things, they are very, very important with the fatty liver. Okay. So here there is inability of liver to synthesize the phospholipids. There is decreased lipoprotein release from the hepatocytes and there is increased triglyceride production. Okay. So this is all these things, they are related to metabolism of the liver, that is fat metabolism of the liver. Whenever this metabolism of the fat get disturbed, either due to infection or due to some degenerative process or due to some toxins, due to some chemicals, this metabolism of the liver, it get disturbed and there is accumulation of the neutral fat inside the hepatocytes. Okay, this fat should not get deposited in the liver in the neutral form. It should get converted into the triglyceride or phospholipid form, and which get divert to various other cells, like it get sended that is for deposition in the adipose tissues. Okay, so whenever it not happen, this type of metabolism will not happen, this fat get accumulate inside the cell, then we call it as fatty degeneration. So this fatty changes or the fatty degeneration, this is it is nothing but the accumulation of the fat in non-fatty tissues. Okay, especially in the parenchymatous organs, then skeletal muscles, heart, which have a high metabolic rate. So this fat get accumulate other than liver also, that is various other parenchymatous organs like skeletal muscles, heart, then the muscles, heart, uh, they may appear in the kidneys also. Okay, kidney and spleen, these organs which have a high metabolic rate. The essential problem for this fatty degeneration is the inability of non-fatty tissues to metabolize the amount of lipid present in them. This ability of this metabolization of these lipids, it get reduces, okay, resulting in its accumulation within the cells. And the most important cause range from direct cell poisons through the clinical conditions associated with reduced cellular energy. So whenever this fat get accumulate inside the cell, it will gives rise to cellular poisons, or it may reduces the cellular energy. Okay. Now the cell poisons. What are the cell poisons? That is bacterial cell poisons, that is bacteria, chemicals like chloroform, like alcohol. Okay, so they causes reduction of the cellular enzyme activity. Whenever there is this fat, or sorry, whenever this particular chemical poisons or bacterial poisons, they come in contact with this parenchymal cells, then they reduces the cellular enzyme activity, and this ability to metabolization of the fat is get reduces. So the fat get accumulate inside the cells. Okay, is there is any query? Yes, my dear students. Okay, so this fatty degeneration, it is a part, this happens due to some infections, due to some this some habits like alcoholism. It is commonly happens in the chronic alcoholics, or the alcoholics which often takes this type of alcohol, which proves a very poisonous to the liver. Okay, in which the alcohol contains, they are more in that particular alcohol formations, they produces this toxins in the liver cells, that is hepatocytes, and they reduces the cellular enzyme, that is metabolism activity of the liver cells. They reduces the metabolism of the fat, and this fat get accumulate inside the cell. Okay, so this is the normal liver microscopy. It is the central vein at the center of lobule. There is no fibrosis. The course of hepatocytes radiating from central vein towards portal triad. Yes, all of you know this normal physiology. There is portal triad. It is periphery, which is present at the periphery of this particular lobule. This is a portal triad. Okay. And this is the fat necrosis, degeneration. That is hepatocyte nuclei. There is venula, arteriola, portal tract. It is seen here. Biliary duct. And these are the fat vacuoles get formed inside the hepatocytes. They are always present, these vacuoles, they are always present in the hepatocytes. Okay, it is again a picture of fatty degeneration of the heart. Okay, so I'm going to stop this meeting. We'll call in few minutes. Okay, we'll call this meeting in few minutes, and then we will discuss how this fatty degeneration occurs. Okay. I'm ending this meeting and again sending you the link within few minutes.